And welcome back. We're picking up where we left off last time in Factorio. We let the base run for a little bit to see if some of the stuff would start to fix itself. We're now waiting on the last launch off of Vulcanus before the ship will come back with more stuff. And we're having solid fuel issues, is what that's implying. Actually solid fuel issues, or is it delivery of the fuel issues? That's the solid fuel line. There's my solid fuel. My solid fuel is waiting on... Or rocket fuel is waiting on solid fuel, okay. Which is petroleum gas limited. Did... Future me, or current me is not particularly happy with past me, who apparently forgot to finish plumbing something. There are some bots in office, so that'll fix itself. So the facility to crack the light into the petroleum was never properly plumbed in. So that will get us more petroleum gas going. There we go. That should get the fuel going a little bit faster. In the meantime, the first platform has caught up in construction. One option, which I suppose we can do, in fact, we'll try doing that option. So I can pull out actually a big chunk of the middle, like so. Do a fairly large copy paste segment like so. Try to build out a bit like that to increase our capture rate. Not that apparently capture rate is necessarily the problem we're running into, right? The problem is that we're not refining anything that isn't the oxide. That should help stabilize the power grid a bit. And it is expanding out to there. Yeah, and on Novice, we're running into the problem that we have a severe gear shortage, to be fair. So I can manually make a bunch of gears, try to get that bit fixed. But yeah, we have a gear shortage, which even though it's a gear shortage, is apparently not enough of a shortage to cause the copper to back up. So in theory, every once in a while we get a single piece or two of calcite through. But that's where that's coming from, is we've just got no gears to make the red belts. Yeah, Vulcanus, we're waiting on that launch capacity. So yeah, apparently that's going to be our last launch for a while we're waiting for the solid fuel to probably back up again. Which is fine. How's Fulgura going at making... Electromagnetic grip 14? We're up to like 300, okay. Oh, and to be fair, we're full on buffer chests. And you request a little bit of steel. And then we're going to swap you temporarily over to making steel chests. Okay, and now that you're done with that, swap back to making buffers. Or no, actually, swap to making storage chests. And then we can set up a couple of those storage chests. Because there should be a construction bot able to run around and fly around and do that. That'll give us more storage, and then it should unglue the system for a bit. And we'll make much more gears. Again, to sort of solve the red belt problem. That isn't really a problem, because by the time it'll be a problem, we'll have already presumably fixed the problem. But Vulcanus, still waiting on that solid fuel. Yeah, we need, because it's 2% each, so we need 17 more solid fuel. Let me pop over to Fulgur again. We've probably got enough steel chests made, make more buffers, so that when we need them, or make more storages, because when we need them, we'll need them. Yeah, so that's another mine done. Could contemplate that one. I don't think we're going to do that one just because it's a bit of a liability at the moment. This copper one's probably the next one to do. So the other question is, how many do we have in network? Is there a better way to look at what's in my network? Does this network? There we go. How many big miners do we have? We have 19. Okay, so let's not continue expanding the big miner setup because we don't have them. We don't have enough of them. We have Aluminum limited, which is sorting limited. Did I get to the network again? That's about it. Okay. So yeah, we have a lot of equipment here, including launch capacity, I suppose. The main thing holding up launch capacity is the rocket fuel. Which I suppose the... What's the rocket... actually holding up the rocket fuel there? Solid fuel. Do I make rocket fuel? I thought I made a rocket fuel. Or do I not make rocket fuel? That would be a potential issue. There's the rocket fuel. Solid fuel plus light oil. So it has to be light oil. Oh, that's my rocket fuel maker. That's where the solid fuel gets compressed to be shoved in it. So we're actually output limited. Just don't output limit the rocket fuel anymore. That way when the time comes we have much more launch capacity. Anyway, we have a decent number of rocks here, so if we were able to reprocess them, we'd probably be getting a little bit more out of the transport. Okay, now we have it taking the delivery of the electrical science packs, which is still going to take a while because we don't have as many bots on Vulcanus. Oh, and we are slowly seeing some gears come through the system. Yeah, we're gonna finish, assuming I get enough calcite, we'll finish slowly transforming the old furnace stacks into new foundry stacks to run most of the old stuff. And then we'll get over to running the science the same way over here. Right, so we're running gears here, so instead of this and then the gears, it'll be like one foundry making gears. And like one foundry making plates, one foundry making gears. This will be a little bit more complicated, but it'll be like one foundry making plates, one foundry making wire, one electromagnetic plant making circuits, that then gets assembled at an assembling machine. We can make these two steps back to back, I believe. Right, and then again, iron, that's easy to do. So the hardest bit in there is probably actually making the engines. So we wouldn't have to tear out the engines, that would be reused. and so on and so forth. So we got plans on what to upgrade, but what we're being limited on right now is the calcite. And I don't get too far ahead of swapping and then have the calcite break things. Or have the lack of calcite break everything. Which is why we're struggling here. We're trying to get this improved. Because right now that appears to be our limiting factor. It's just sort of stretching out into the void. It's like, give me more asteroids, please. There's like a 5% chance we get an oxide asteroid that then goes around the loop until it gets consumed. So yeah, we're pretty heavily processing everything here. Some more calcite going down. Vulcanist delivery, how that's going? Almost there. And then if it's really desperate for electromagnetic plants or Bulgarian science, we could come pick it up, but we're not going to bother. There goes the launch. Once it arrives at the Bob Fizzle, we'll send the Bob Fizzle back to Novice. And with that, we'll be able to start the asteroid reprocessing tech. We're getting a little bit of ammo threadbare here, so we probably do want this place to come and sit Novice orbit for a smidge anyway. Time to go to Novice. Hit the accelerator. Delivery and shipment. Nice to see. We got everything sorted down here, so yeah, we're basically just waiting on more calcite. Well, and I suppose we could move on. Assuming we have enough copper, we could probably move on to copper wiring components. I wonder what the ratio is going to be between you. Actually, I suppose you can all get upgraded. Well, no, because we're going to swap over to the electromagnetic plants as well, right? So, So, to be fair, electromagnetic plant uses the default recipe. So let's start doing the math. So we want to fill up, let's say for the moment we want to fill up the entire green belt there. Or the entire belt with greens. So that's 15 a second. We have an inherent productivity of 50%. So that drops it down. Basically need 10 recipes a second. This does, by default, 2. And the electromagnetic plant... Electromagnetic plant also a speed of 4? No, it's only a speed of 2. So we need 2.5 electromagnetic plants to fill up the belt. Okay. Now, that electromagnetic plant needs... Well, the 2.5 electromagnetic plants basically need an entire... Well, the third of a half a belt, right? Two-thirds of a belt. So two-thirds of half a belt. No, I think it's two-thirds of a belt. Basically needs a whole belt. Of iron. So we got double of those. So we could, stop those from filling for the moment. So take you out, take you out. That'll let this whole thing slowly drain empty. There's the bulb fizzle. Let's find the bulb fizzles on arrival. So as long as it's not multiple turrets running out of ammo, we're fine. So we'll try to replace all this with the 2.5 magnetic plants. And then the wire, technically the wire has half the ratio, but the foundry is already 4 times the speed, right? So, I think we might only need 1 foundry per electromagnetic plant. That's how that might work out. Oh, and the question is, do I want to direct feed them? I could direct feed them. That would be pretty easy to simplify it as well. Yeah. Okay, so we can just have the bots come in and clean everything up. Off goes our rocket. The bulb fizzle has arrived, so we can go ahead and quickly chuck our stuff down to the planet. And we can jumpstart the science. Which should be fairly easy for us to do. We just basically grab the 6 or so science packs of each type, and then shove them into furnaces. Or not into labs. Yeah. You're not able to throw them into furnaces, but I can imagine how that would not go right. Tree in the way. Well, that was actually not the delivery I was expecting. Expecting it to bring down... And it probably is. Bring down some space after I picked the 200 out of the thing. There we go. There's the 600 we need. We'll just go running over to the labs and hopefully not get run over on the way over there. Okay, with that, we'll prioritize doing Asteroid reprocessing. We should immediately spool up. One spool is fast, because, you know, we're only running 6 labs, but, ETA... Okay, the ETA is going up because it's still averaging over the previous period of time. But that should complete reasonably quickly. And let's hopefully not get run over, crossing the railroad tracks. Well, I suppose the other thing I can do is contemplate how that's going to work. So we want to reprocess everything into oxides. Okay, so obviously you don't do the oxide one because that net negative. Okay. Taking the carbonic asteroid output. Yeah. Okay. I think we can do that. I think we can do that without start to assemble that on the platform without needing to butts too much. So we need some crushers, obviously. Okay, so our goal, if we can get it to work, is I'm going to pull in there. Okay, that should work. So what this is going to do is going to pull in, one's going to be pulling carbonic acid, or the carbon one, one's going to pull in the metallic, and then the oxides are going to get dropped on the belt, filtered back into the system, so we've got a surplus of oxides. Okay, with that, let's go work on improving building that green science that we were thinking about earlier, while the tech's going. Because worst case scenario, that'll solve the throughput on these, but then we just need more stuff. Because, well, we always need more stuff. Always need more space. Even in space, we need more space. In fact, I think more than anywhere we need space in space. Space in space is not free space. So we worked out we needed 3 electromagnetic plants. How do I want to plumb these plants? That's a good question. Alright, so obviously we're going to start off with a lane balancer to get the output going, because we've got 2.5 things that are going to provide a whole belt. So if we're only on floating on one side, then it's going to get a little bit complicated otherwise. Okay, so this is going to output 4. So we need the ability to grab and place 4. It's basically going to be blues. And then we're going to have to grab iron plate. And I think it would be foundry each of copper. Wire? Might not actually be quite that ratio, right? 7.5 divided by the 1.5, so it's 5 times 3 times 2. So it's something like 30 copper cable. Now it's going to go back down to using the foundry recipe. That's going to go back down by, well, divided by 1.5 as well, because that's got a 50% productivity, divided by 2. So 10 recipes, but we got a speed of 4. So yeah, it is 2.5. Okay. So it is 1 foundry per. Okay, so that's the copper winding down. And then, what, we need 6 things of plate per second. Well, these are running double speed, right? So it's actually 4 per second. So 1.15. 0.5 because the productivity. Divide that by 1.5 because we've got productivity on the foundry as well. And then this needs to be multiplied by 3.2 divided by 4 divided by 2. So it's also 3. Okay. Shortage of red in gears. Where's the... Well, I suppose I can guess where probably the gear shortage is coming. It's coming from the gear shortage, right? Yeah. Okay, and returning through that asteroid reprocessing. And in theory, that should be properly balanced. It's just dependent on having the molten iron to run the thing. Right, we got the molten copper, so the wire's all backed up, waiting for plates. Which, for a while, didn't look like that was much of a problem either, so that's a good sign. We're just waiting on making more calcite throughput. So this will help, because this will start processing more stuff into the oxide asteroids. $17 science a bit, so in the middle of next episode it should finish. Would wish for that to be a bit faster, and there are a couple ways I can get that to go faster, which is just grab more space science and distribute the load a little bit better across the labs, because we got more labs than that, so we can definitely push it faster. That was a little close. I don't have any space science in that one. Yeah, so let's sped it up a little bit. Speed it more if I get more space science, which isn't going to be a little bit more space science. Bring me like 100 space science. 200 will work. At some point I should actually plumb this in properly so it runs without me having to manually do it, but... Okay. So that should, in theory, have sped it up a bit. 5 minutes? Yeah, 5 minutes is a lot more manageable. Four minutes. Okay, I'm looking at the time. I've probably come up where I should go ahead and put a part break in. So if you're watching on YouTube, there will be another part up tomorrow, as we're going to record one more part tonight. If you're watching on Twitch, feel free to hang around. I'm going to take a short break between parts. Just to sip some tea and stretch the legs, and I'll be right back to recording. So until the next part, wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part. I may wait until the Asteroid reprocessing gets done to the next part, but that'll basically be how long the part break is going to be. So catch you all in the next part. Bye for now.